Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today I am very excited to bring you one of the most exclusive hi-fi audio stores in the Houston area. 3 MA high-end audio. Today is the grand opening of their new location. It is one of the coolest stores I have ever seen. I like the feel, the vibe, the layout, the rooms. There's so much to see. Let me just be quiet and show you. Come in with me. Check this out. Such a beautiful, beautiful looking store. You got YG speakers right in the lobby with Luxman Amplification. And this side, Acoustics, a brand that we've seen on the channel many times. Boulder. And here's Luis.
What's up, Jay?
Thank you for being on my channel, man. Tell us what's going on today. I know this is a brand new location.
Yes.
I had a chance to look at it earlier, and man, I am absolutely blown away what you guys have done here, man.
It's funny. A lot of our vendors saw this place in just sticks and bones.
Yeah.
I mean, we got it December of 2023, and now we're here, right? Finally, we get to do our grand opening. And we literally just moved 2 miles down the street, but it's been, I mean, a lot of hard work. Blood, sweat, and tears went into this place to get it looking like it is. And you know what? You know how you go to trade shows and you have best of room here, best of room there? Every single room in here is a best of show. It's amazing.
That's interesting because you're about to see the different rooms. They have a name for every room, which I think is really cool.
Yes.
And the colors, the art.
Yes.
We have a little like a room with like a bar theme going on that I really love. And who came up with this concept? Because on the outside, I will be honest, it looked like a one-bedroom apartment from the outside in terms of the size. But when you come in, whoa, the inside is nothing like the outside. It's a phenomenal feel.
We have over 4,000 square feet of show space. And we're sitting on solid concrete floors, which is incredibly important for audio, as you know, and your audience may know. So we have 4 feet of solid concrete, and not only that, we took the time to build the rooms right.
Okay.
So we'll go into our reference listening rooms. We're using golden ratios for the dimensions, so length, width, and height to ideally minimize any room resonances. But not only that, we build the rooms like a speaker cabinet. So we literally have studs. We have a layer of MDF wood, just like speaker cabinets, and then we have sheetrock on top, all glued together with quiet glue, and we have also rock wool insulation in between the walls. So the pressurization of the rooms is incredible. Now there are very thick walls, but the rooms sound phenomenal. So we have full reference systems in each of the rooms. And, we also have some normal showrooms like this one that we have right here, where it can be, more of a common place where somebody will have a system in a living space, like the cigar lounge,
yes, I love that.
So
that was one of my favorite
common,
rooms. We're going to see it soon.
Man cave and all that stuff. So we have all types of showrooms and listening rooms, from a reference level to a normal home listening space that customers can experience.
I like the fact that, again, you are hitting different target points, price points. It's important. Okay, they're not just all-out assault systems, as I call them. They are systems designed for your budget. Okay, so it is important that, although this is a high-end store, don't let the name fool you. They can still build you a quality system that suits your needs and budget. So why don't we go into the first room? Let's check out the first room.
So this room is called the X room. And soon your audience will find out why. There's a very special speaker behind this door. It's actually one of my favorites. I actually own a pair of MBL 101. So let's walk in.
This is one of my favorite rooms at the 2024 Munich High-End Show. I was talking to Luis about the incredible store that they have put together. Amazing look, the feel, the rooms are just gorgeous. Take a look at the ceiling. I actually think I'm going to be getting some of these for me because I'm sure you said the performance improvement is huge with these.
Performance is incredible.
But
we use these too. We recommend Arnovian.
And if you remember, his room at Munich was one of my favorite rooms. That was a phenomenal And it happens to be
we're
the same,
similar system,
the
yeah.
similar system.
Yeah,
So, so tell us about the system. What are you showing here?
Okay.
Give my audience a rundown.
Yeah, sure. 101 Extreme Mark II. This is the latest version. What's really changed from the previous model is the subwoofer is a completely new box design, driver design, electronics design, all kinds of things make it totally different. And then the speaker features the proprietary, we call them radial Strahler drivers. They're omnidirectional pulsating spheres. This is the mid-woofer, this is the mid-range, and this is the tweeter. And this model is a Diapolito configuration. So again, you have tweeter, mid-range woofer here, and then the subwoofers are separate. So this is a full range omnidirectional system. There's also an up-firing dome tweeter, a silk dome.
What, really?
Yeah, with his own. You see You see there's a volume control here.
Hopefully you guys can catch that with the camera.
The volume control, it has an independent volume control so that you can use to compensate for ceiling height reflections
great.
or taste. You know, some people like a little more airy presentation above the sound stage, so you can adjust that.
Was
to
that
taste.
on the MK1 version?
It is, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
why I never
part of the
discovered
original
that, so
design. Yeah.
thank you for that.
So there's 26 total drivers in this system.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it at Munich. The equivalent radiating surface area of the mid-bass driver is equivalent to two 12-inch cone drivers.
Wow.
Two 12s, so you have
Wow.
two 12s, two 12s, and then six 12s in each of the subwoofer cabinets. So we're moving a lot of air.
A lot of
Yeah,
air. And
yeah.
for amplification, to move this air, I'm assuming, obviously we need a lot of serious amplification.
Yeah, so the subwoofers are active. They have their own electronics and amps on board. So basically we have two pair of speakers here. One is the lower pair and one is the inverted upper pair. So each Omni section, tweeter, mid-range woofer is getting one monoblock amplifier. So that's why you see four. This is our reference preamplifier that's controlling the whole system. He's called the 6010. He's been in production in similar form for over 30 years. This was the original MBL electronic product. It was the first electronics. We started with the loudspeaker in 1979. The tweeter concept was patented then. Took 6 years of more R&D to get it functioning in the real world off the paper, as often happens. And then we're using our reference level D to A converter. He's down there called the 1611. He's in a die-cast aluminum chassis, weighs 65 pounds.
These stands are obviously, they're ultrasonic audio racks is what we call them. And they are built for noise isolation, and you can custom build them in any way you like. So we can do different combination of colors, different finishes, clear or frosted sheets or black, or you'll see some in the other rooms. We have Italian flags with Ferrari emblems and logos. So you could go all out and we can have these built for you. And it's what we use in the store, and they sound really good. Even Jeremy's, we've used them in trade shows with MBL and as well with Launche and Thrax. This whole system is wired with AudioQuest reference level.
Dragon?
Well, not Dragon, but we do have Dragon on the other system that we have in this room. But I'll have Rob from AudioQuest talk a little bit about the cabling that we have here.
Thank you.
Finally, you made it here. I actually am a fan of the brand. I've owned AudioQuest. I think one of the most impressive power cords that I've had when I started this was the Dragon. I literally, my jaw had to tape it shut. It was incredible what the AudioQuest Dragon power cord did for me. And so you know, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of AudioQuest, and I actually am interested perhaps in trying some of the new top-of-the-line XLRs that I can't remember the name of the model, but I've heard great things about the XLRs too. So
well, essentially, we have 2 Januaries ago, so we launched Mythical Creatures XLR RCA. So Dragon, Firebird, Thunderbird. So it is Dragon.
the Dragon too.
Right. So like you love the power cables, you'll love the XLRs as well. But just first of all, thank you for talking about the outlets. So we've got Energy Edison outlets behind here, and just starting with the source. Like this is a bottleneck for so many systems, right? But instead of using a high quality copper, you get like nickel plated brass, things like that, right? So we have high purity red copper, and copper is soft. So how do we get that tensile strength? We marry the right ratio beryllium to high purity red copper. So we have a much better type of signal information or current throughput. But then also on top of that, we have a thick silver plating. We call it silver bath, essentially, and it's polished. So you've got here typically a bottleneck. You've got this place you're unlocking.
Right.
That power, right? So the source of the source, we talk about how important a source is, right? Well, what's the power feeding your source? It's your electricity, and that brings us over here on the bottom, down here to the Niagara 7000. That is
7,000, yeah.
That is our flagship.
I have a 5,000 at the moment.
So anyway, I really get excited about power, and I love what 3MA has done, and so we're really trying to make it unbridled. We want no bottlenecks, right? So part of that is the Storm Series power cables that you see behind here. And we do have a blend of different tiers of products, but this is primarily a Mythical Creatures full loom. So when we say Mythical Creatures, it encompasses Dragon, Firebird, Thunderbird. So if you were to look, we have like computer and stuff back here, but actually you can kind of see right over here. I can close this. Okay.
Absolutely. All the way down.
Okay, so if you take a look right back here, you can see the Perfect Surface Copper Plus RCAs and XLRs. It's that same polished metal that we use actually on the jacket.
Oh.
And it does have a protective coating over it so it does not tarnish or scratch. We put a lot of time and attention to detail in the shape of the XLRs and RCA. So we've learned to encourage, this is the word I like to use, RF away from that contact point. So it's literally pulling noise away from the component. And so at that contact point, right? So that's just the barrel, which is 100% bespoke.
I will say something that my audience is probably going to be commenting on, and please do so. And if you have a moment, go to this video in the comment section and feel free to respond to whatever questions my audience may have. A lot of question marks come from you when it comes to audiophile grade outlets. Okay, many of you are non-believers. You guys feel that this is just another way to extract money from you. I'm going to tell you something. There is a massive difference with upgraded outlets. Okay, I have one AudioQuest. I have a Furitech as well, who has been doing this for a long time as well. Every outlet will change the performance of your system. The moment you insert that power cord, the way it grips those three prongs, that makes a difference. And as far as what happens. So what he's saying, I'm telling you right now, he's not lying. Now, of course, if your system isn't up to snuff, isn't at the level to really reveal these things, you can't blame it on the product. Okay, because I've seen some of the systems that you guys present to me, and I'm like, dude, why are you spending $300 on an outlet? You got problems elsewhere. I mean, you got a room that you got a dog in the middle, you got a house in the middle, the list can go on and on and on. So remember, these are things that really improve the performance of the system, assuming that you've done the homework elsewhere.
What are the most important, most critical aspects of the system? And the receptacles, the power cables, the power line conditioners, right? So that's some of the foundation. If you can't get that stuff right, these guys aren't going to play the best that they can play.
They can't.
If you don't get that right.
They can't. So, it's all educational. I had a great conversation with another brand here, another manufacturer, about perhaps doing some future videos to do a little bit of knowledge transfer, and I think Luis would have no problem being part of these conversations as far as educating the customer why these things need to be done. They need to be in place so that you can really capitalize on the benefits of these components and obviously justifying spending the money, because it is money. It's not cheap. Okay, a lot of people look at it as, here's a $400 outlet from AudioQuest when you can go to Home Depot and buy one for $5.
Right.
It's not the same.
Yeah,
we got to keep moving to the next room.
No problem.
Luis is going to show us what is in store for us in the rest of the store. Thank you guys for listening to us. Please continue to listen.
This room is called the Zen Room.
Beautiful room. Now, so you are on my channel. We are going to talk about this room and focus on what we are showing today. Of course, you should be no stranger to these loudspeakers by now, because I actually gave them, I believe, the best of show at the 2022 Florida Audio Show. I believe that's when you released them, right, Valerio?
Correct.
So these should be immediately recognized by you. Okay, one of the finest loudspeakers that money can buy today, and the VRC loudspeakers from the flagship, the current flagship speaker. But let's talk about what we have here today. Introduce yourself to my channel. Let everyone know who you are.
Sure. Well, thanks so much, Jay. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, and thanks for having us on the channel. My name is Isaac Markowitz. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for Acora Acoustics. So it's my pleasure to work with this brand, work with Valerio Cora himself, and today I'll also be working to represent Audio Research, and talking a little bit about their products as well. Now, something I've always enjoyed pointing out about Acora, what makes it different, is the very first conversations that I had with Val when we started talking about whether we would be a good fit. And when I speak with various companies about opportunities, they always want to talk about what makes them special, right? I want to talk about what makes me special. It's always engineering this and this idea and this idea. And the first thing he said to me is like, do you understand how a loudspeaker works? And not in a pejorative way, like I was foolish, but he said, let's talk about this like a physics project. And he was the first person in loudspeakers to talk to me about physics, because physics asks the best questions and engineering answers those questions. So this is the VRC, starts at $218,000. We've seen this a few times together. A lot of fun.
We have.
Enormously sensitive. 95 dB, 1 watt, 1 meter.
So this explains why I had a listening session with Valerio about 40 minutes ago, and they were being driven by the 160M models. And my question to him was, why the hell are these two amps making these speakers thump, really sound so massive and dynamic, right? Because let's face it, tube amplifiers are not really known to give you all the dynamics in the speed of solid state, right? We know that. But then he explained it to me, it's a combination of both. It's the efficiency of the speaker, as you just stated, 95 dB, and obviously the amplifier is doing a phenomenal job at showcasing what the capabilities of the speakers truly are. I felt, out of these two amps, I felt the bass in this room was to die for. I mean, I felt like if they had told me they had 8 subs in here, one in every corner, halfway through the wall, I would have believed it. Because there was not a single space in this room where I didn't feel impact. I mean, I felt it crawl on my chest. It was crazy.
So we were just talking about the amps, the great place to go. These are the Ref 160Ms.
These are the Mark II 160Ms.
When we're listening together and we were talking about how powerful this was, a lot of times you see the watt meter go right up vertical. It's 1.5 watts. So
1.5 watts.
1.5 watts is dead vertical. So in a room like this, 30 to 50 watts is more than adequate in order to drive something like this. And of course, the Audio Research has been in business since 1970, still in Maple Grove, up in Minneapolis. And the Ref 6 SE version, of course, has been around for a number of years, highly regarded as one of the world's finest line stages.
Yep.
So really, really incredible. Now, all of this, of course, is being driven by the source. In this case, is going to be the DCS bar talk, and we have the Lena clock. So I'm going to turn it over to my friend Will Klein from Shunyata Research.
So, Will Klein, Shunyata Research. I have been in the industry for 20 years, and even I, after having set up thousands and thousands and thousands of systems over the course of my career, never really gave the credence to power and cabling that I really should have. And we've got into other categories as well, which we'll touch on, but a little bit about Shunyata. Been in the industry for over 20 years. Not only do we do HiFi gear, we also are in medical applications, and we're also in studio applications as well. As many of the great recordings we'll be playing today were actually recorded in a studio using 100% Shunyata gear for their power and cabling needs. One of the things that's really unique about Shunyata compared to all of the other cable and power companies that are out there is we've got very unique patented technologies that allow our cables and our power distributors to not only eliminate noise from the system as the signal is flowing through it, but also one of the most important parts of any audio system, especially when we're dealing with amplifiers, is something called DTCD, Direct Transient Current Delivery. It turns out, regardless of how good your cabling is, regardless of how good your power distribution is, regardless of how good the electrical system is in your home, none of that matters if you're not able to deliver clean power in the right timing. So many manufacturers out there think about current delivery, but they don't actually think about the timing. And when you think about the power supply and each one of the components in this system, we're essentially operating at 60 hertz, which is what our standard lines are on. And if we're talking about a rectifier, because none of these components actually uses the full 120 volts of voltage, what happens is the rectifier or the power supply on board that component is essentially going to clip the wave, right? So if we've got a full 120 hertz or 120 volt waveform, The difference in potential from the very top of that wave to the very bottom of that wave is that 120 volts. Because the component doesn't need all of that energy, it only really grabs energy from the very, very bottom of the wave and the very, very top of the wave, which means that rectifier essentially has a gate that is opening up 120 times a second. Now this is incredibly important because one, it means that we don't have a ton of time, right? We literally have 1/120th of a second to be able to deliver that power as quickly as possible to the component. It also means that if we can deliver that power in time, it means that the rectifier, the gate on that rectifier is spending more time closed than it is open. This is important because that reduces the amount of radio frequency noise, electromagnetic interference, and line noise that you actually get into the component. And this just isn't high current components. Your DAC, your CD player, anything that has a power supply on board is going to benefit from the speed of the current delivery. 100% of the time we demonstrate these devices, people are blown away by the overall increase in speed, dynamics, and everything you look for from a good amplifier presentation, simply because we addressed the dynamic current delivery.
Thank you for your time, for showing us a little more about Shunyata.
Sorry for all the noise, but take a look at our beautiful artwork. This is a local artist here in Houston. It's actually functional, so you can play this artwork.
Really?
Yeah, it's musical strings. It's tunable. It has a port. It's designed to be played.
What?
So it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of art and functional as well. This one too.
Amazing.
If you look at it,
Oh, wow.
you can actually play your artwork on the wall.
I never
Pretty
knew
cool,
that.
right?
I never knew that. Maybe I'll learn to do something
Yeah.
there.
So this room that we're going to walk into now is called the 300B room because we're driving the speakers with tube amplifiers, and this particular one, the one that has 300B.
Is it fair to say this would be more like your tube room, like
Yeah.
the room that where you only do those
Right.
type? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Follow me. This is cool. 300B room.
So these are the Launche speakers, and we're using Thrax amplification.
Speaker that you should not be completely removed from, because you remember I highlighted the smaller sibling at the Florida Audio Show. You should have seen me and Oz, who is the brand ambassador for Launche Audio here, and Thrax as well.
Absolutely. So I'll turn it over to Oz. He'll talk about the speakers and the electronics that we're using in this room. And we'll also hand it over to Greg, who will talk about the source that we're using into this room.
Thank you for being with me here again. They said we look
Always a
like,
pleasure to
they
see you.
told me we look like brothers, cousins, that the only dude that's bigger than me on YouTube has been you. So, I'm reiterating what you guys said in the comment section of that video we did at the Florida Audio Show.
No,
So,
I saw that.
glad to be back with you
Thank
and
you.
with
Thanks
my
for
audience.
coming
So tell us what we are showing here today, because this is certainly above the model that I really liked at the Florida
Sure.
Audio Show.
First of all, we're proud to be here with 3MA, and they've just done, as you've seen,
Amazing. Excellent job.
Excellent job. So we're very proud to basically be here and help them out in their opening. So these are Launche 7.2. There are 5 models in Launche: 3.2, 5.2, which you highlighted
Yep.
at Florida. 7.2 is bank center in the middle of the line. Then we have the 8.3, and then the 9.2, which is like 800 pounds each, and it's so big, but it sounds glorious. What we are using is at the moment, we're using Heroes monoblocks. These are 100 watt Class A Thrax audio. We're using the Dionysys preamplifier at the bottom of the rack. We're using Ineos Statement as our digital source together with DCS as the DAC. Sounds amazing. Then later on, we're going to switch over to the Spartacus monoblocks.
These right here.
Yeah, these are the top of the line product from Thrax. These are 300B based 50 watt Triad Class A.
Wow.
And all of our cables, most of our cables, not all, because we couldn't find the extreme length for our XLR connection, but most of our cables are Albedo silver as usual. Now I'll hand it over to Greg to give you a rundown about the tape deck you're also very familiar
Absolutely. Greg, welcome back to the channel. Is that the same device you had in Dallas?
Yes, same one.
And we were playing Michael Jackson.
Yep.
And I remember having a moment there,
Yep.
completely taken away. I mean, I was back in time in the 80s when I heard that device.
Yeah,
Tell us a little more about that.
Michael Jackson tape on there is like throwing lighter fluid on a fire. But what we have here is the new Ultima Apollo tape deck. It's the top of the line in the Ultima series. It's the second from the top of the line in the UHA tape deck lineup, the super decks on the top. But what I do here with this deck is I take AC from the wall in this outboard power supply, and I turn it into DC power.
Oh, wow.
And the only thing in this tape deck is DC power because all the motors run on DC. I figured out how to run the tape logic and the counter and all of that stuff for DC. The head amps, the dual mono head amps, run pure DC power. So it's real quiet. No noise reduction, any of that crazy stuff.
No, okay.
Don't need it. And when you put on one of the new generation master tape copies, what you're essentially doing is getting back as close as you could get to the original recording. So people often ask me, well, why tape? Well, that's not the question. The question is, how was the music initially recorded? Okay, so if it's recorded to tape, why turn it into zeros and ones? Okay, and why even squish vinyl with it? Okay, just play it back in its original form.
Native form.
And you're close as you could get.
See, you could be a hell of a friend for me, but I'm afraid of taking your number down because I have a feeling I'll end up with one of those after what I heard.
Well,
and it's such a phenomenal product when I heard it. First of all, listen, and I'm here in front of Luis, okay, here at 3MA. I gotta be honest, I know they gotta sell DACs, I know they gotta sell digital because the convenience factor is there. No lying in there. Everyone likes a buffet line. Everyone likes to choose songs from one menu, but it doesn't get close to this digital yet. In my opinion, this is as real as it gets. The dynamic contrast, the musicality. I heard a device that I'm sure is probably not on the level of this over at the 2024 Munich show. You guys saw me on video wearing headphones, listening to one of these devices, and I couldn't believe what I heard. So I know what you're talking about. The native form of the actual recording is unreal through here.
Yep.
What do they run price-wise? One of those.
They start around 30,000 and go up from there.
30,000 as configure. What is it? How much is this one?
This one's 55,000.
$55,000 as configure. Okay.
This one also comes with the outboard power supply,
Which makes
is
it different.
typically an option.
Okay.
But with this one, it has the gain and EQ stages are so large in it that I had to have new voltage regulators made up.
Okay.
Because the gain and EQ stages are as big as what will fit in there, and they're thirsty. Okay, so you got to give them a good tap.
Next room. Oh, it's getting busy.
Smoked salmon, jamón ibérico.
Jamón ibérico. Awesome.
So we're back to another of our reference listening rooms. Again, golden ratio dimensions. So in this room, we have a combination of Boulder and Magico, as well as top-of-the-line DCS for digital. And of course, the REL Acoustics subwoofers. And of course, some of the acoustic treatment as well. So this room, just like the other rooms that have been built with golden ratios, trying to minimize any room modes to be able to give you the best performance possible. The walls, the sheetrock, it's been everything, every single thing from the outlet to the walls to the acoustic panel has been thought of. So I want to bring in somebody that has greatly helped us and that was a key person that helped us in the design of this room. His name is John Hunter. One of the lead designers and owners of REL Acoustics.
REL subwoofers. I actually have an ultra hi-fi group that we were talking recently about the importance of subs in a system, and of course we know that the perception of a lot of people is just, oh, we're only adding more bass, nothing else, only to really find out that there's more to that. Yeah, there's more spatial cues, there's a lot more information that really comes to life when you add a sub, and not only just a sub, the integration of the sub in the system, which is key.
Can you just go on the road with me and repeat everything you say every time I stop? Yes.
Thank you. I wish.
No, so seriously, so we actually consider ourselves a high-end speaker company that happens to specialize in sub bass. It's a different headspace than you'll find. I mean, you know everybody makes subs, and there's some excellent competitors out there. I'm not a guy that dogs the competition. If you can build a product that is reliable and good in this market, do it. We welcome the competition. Speed. And by speed, I mean sonic speed, the ability to reproduce tactility, fluidity, the ability to start and stop like instantaneously. And I'll come back later, I'll do some cuts for you, or we can do it even privately later, and I'll do some real specific things so you can hear what we're talking about. It is what has been missing, and it actually informs everything above it. When you hear a REL properly integrated, people marvel not at the bass. Yes, we do bass. What is incredible is the fact that you suddenly are in the physical field that the microphone was in. You're hearing the hall. You're hearing the studio. Whether it's intimate or vast, you're hearing it, you're feeling it, and it puts you into that three-dimensional reality. And at least when you step up to the six-packs, when you get into the line arrays, you know, the purpose of that is actually to get the third dimension. I read review after review after review, and it's clear from reading it when they say, oh, this is more three-dimensional. This component was much more three-dimensional. They're talking about depth. We've had depth. We've had the second dimension. We've got left, right, one dimension. Front, back is a second dimension. The third dimension is height. And so many of us are used to hearing and experiencing really, really good systems from about your waist and down. And it's great. When you unlock that third dimension and you're hearing stuff, a live recording with the perspective, the microphone's down here, and you're actually looking up at a rock band that's on stage, and the cymbals are 9 feet off the ground, they are 9 feet off the ground when you're using a line array. So we're thinking and acting, working on these things in a very different way. The cone on that, number 31.
This is number 31. How much is this one?
That's a $7,000 sub.
Okay.
The cone structure,
Beautiful, I must say.
Just the raw cone structure alone weighs 8 grams.
Gorgeous looking.
Most people are
subwoofer.
measuring cone weight in ounces. 40, 50 grams, 100 grams. These are really lightweight, very quick, and thank you. We worked really hard on these.
Here's a question that someone presented to me not long ago, since we're talking about subs. If you had it your way, and I know Room has a lot to dictate when it comes to what I'm about to ask you, but if you had it your way, do you recommend 6 of those, look behind, the stack of subs right behind, in a room, or 4 of these, 2 in each corner, front and back?
Clearly depends on the room. Let me answer it completely. Because there are actually 2 implied questions there.
Okay.
First, what is the difference between a line array that's 3 versus 4?
Mm-hmm.
I actually, when I did my own house a couple of years ago, I played consumer. I said, I'm going to start with a pair, and then I'm going to add the second level, and then finally I'll add the third. The pair was great, made all the bass I wanted in the room. We have a big open plan house.
Okay.
Right? Nothing got back to the kitchen and the family. It was just, okay, and maybe there's a benefit to that. Put the second ones on a week later after I'd really thoroughly enjoyed what a pair did. Put the second level on, and suddenly there was room drive everywhere. You could go back, you could be in the far rear corner making coffee in the kitchen, and if something came through, it'd be kind of fun because you hear the teacups rattling, right? When you put the third one on, maybe we'll be able to work together sometime. That's where the magic happens. And I think anybody who claims they know what's really happening is lying. There is something that happens with high frequency harmonics finally being released when you get that third one on that gives you all the air, all the delicacy, all the textures. It's crazy the first time you hear it.
Huh.
Those people, there are reviewers that have bought them, and the constant theme, they call me later, and it's like, I don't know if I can ever go back. It's just what we've been missing. So, 4 here and 4 there. It depends on what you're after. If what you're trying to get is an amazing 2-channel experience, I got to tell you, I'm not a huge fan of swarms in 2-channel. Multi-channel, you can do a lot of things, and we started the whole thing about using multiple subs underneath the center channel, subs underneath the rears, because you're trying to produce a 3-dimensional aural reality, right? You want to be inside that sort of holodeck, and you have to have deep bass because the way Dolby conceived of theater, it really is about deep bass conveying space. So if you see the vastness of space in a science fiction thing,
they do that with sound. You're seeing it, but they're doing something sneaky down low, and you go, wow, and you feel awe, which is what they're going for. They're looking for that emotion. You have to have a multitude of subs in theater. In a decent room, I rarely thought, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling with this. I need to park another sub back there to draw through the listening position. It's a good trick if you need it, if you've really got a tough room. But we don't advocate that unless you absolutely need it.
Okay. Well, good. Now, that's a question that many of you guys have presented to me. So you got an answer from the horse's mouth now when it comes to subwoofers.
You sure it's the mouth on my horses? Real quick, I just want to say, and compliment Luis and Johnny, it is such a pleasure to find a dealer willing to go all the way. Just all the way. So few people invest in the rooms.
All the way and then some,
All the way.
I would
and
say.
Then some. Yeah, and
absolutely.
I'm sure you guys will see
Yes.
it. I mean, the detail
Yes.
of all the decoration,
No doubt.
fantastic. But that commitment to perfection is so rare in this industry, and it's such a pleasure and such a privilege.
Yep.
So thank you
No
so
doubt.
much from all of us, really the whole
Well,
community.
thank you for being on my channel for the first time. Maybe we
you,
get to
sir.
do some collaboration down the
love
road
it.
with some RELs. I do own the 1508s for the record.
Hey.
I do have a pair of those for my home theater, so I do like REL.
Nice, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Thanks,
Luis.
So
And now-
let's continue with some of the other components. Thank you so much,
Absolutely,
John.
absolutely. This is
This gentleman here has
Oh,
been
yeah.
a key factor to making this happen. So, you know, we are driving these wonderful Magico speakers with some stuff that you're pretty familiar
Oh,
with.
I have a pair of the S7s in this color right now.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I do have a pair.
Yeah. And
M3s.
and some of the stuff behind you, I think.
Oh,
you've
I
seen
have no idea
before,
what this
right?
is. I've never seen this in my life before. I recognize it, but you know what this is? This is some of the best stuff available to us.
So
Boulder Electronics.
On this side, we have, you know, only the 2100 series from Boulder, and then on the back side with the Magico M6s, we have the 3000 series from Boulder.
So what he's saying is this is a 9mm system, and that's the AK-47 on the other side. So you have an idea. Go ahead. Luis.
Absolutely. So
Take it away.
We're one of the only dealers, Logan, only dealer displaying a 3010 preamp. So we have I think you're also familiar with this bad boy right here, huh?
Okay, here you go. I'm all about making statements. How many times have I told my Ultra HiFi members and my YouTube channels, after so many preamplifiers that I've owned, this is the best preamplifier I've ever owned, and it continues to be unrivaled in my opinion. Now, no, it is not cheap. Sorry to say that, I can't help you there. But it is the best preamplifier that I have heard. Will that be forever? I can never make that statement. But as of today, in 2024, it continues to be the best preamplifier that I've had.
And I mean, I will second that. The amount of performance that we get out of the Boulder electronics is just incredible. I mean, it's able to drive anything, but not just is it only able to drive anything. The amount of detail and presentation that you get when you pair this level of electronics with speakers like the M6, which is right here, and the 3060, which is driving the M6. And we're driving all of this with Odin 2 cabling from Nordost. We have two gentlemen from Boulder.
Really, we're just happy to be here with Johnny, Luis, and the rest of the 3MA team. World-class showroom.
I don't think I know of another location that displays the 3000 series. I know you have other stores, but I haven't been into any other location that displays the 3000 series. It's a big investment for a lot of dealers, but that just shows you the commitment that 3MA has to your brand and, of course, the rest of the brands that are being displayed here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have amps at other dealers, but not the preamp. So this is the only place that you can
The only
see that.
one, the only place you can hear the best preamplifier that I have ever owned, the 3010. You have to come to Houston to hear it and see it and touch it. It is unlike anything else you've ever heard. Trust me when I say that.
We have Amy Henson from Nordost. So let's welcome Amy to your channel. I think
Amy,
this
I
is
think
going to be
we
the
have
first
been
time, right?
on camera before.
We have,
I
yeah.
believe I named the room that you were involved, you were a part of at Expona with the VTL amps and the Steinheim. speakers, right? It's
Right.
the best room of, I believe, 2023, I want to say.
Yes, yep.
That's when I gave you that. So thank you for being back on my channel. I appreciate you
Yeah, my pleasure.
being here and, of course, talking a little more about Nordost. Odin 2, I haven't owned any Odin 2 cables, maybe for the future, but I have been a fan for a long time, especially the Odin 1, which is where I started with Nordost.
Okay.
That's when it was a revelation for me, as far as the importance of a well-designed cable.
Yeah.
A lot of you, my cable naysayers that watch me, you guys are having a hard time understanding the importance of a great quality cable. They were the influencers, how ironic, of what I believe in, which is a cable it's a make it or break it for any system. You got the wrong cables, I don't care how much Boulder you bought, I don't care how much Magico you bought. The cables are not there, you are missing so much from point A to point B. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah. So what we have here in this room is showing off the flagship products. We have Valhalla 2 mostly over here, and we've got Odin 2 for the most part over here. Both of these levels, it's reference and supreme reference, employ the monofilament technology, which allows each conductor to be suspended in its own air dielectric, and that is what gives you that flat frequency response, along with the design of the cables. They also have the Nordost proprietary hollow plugs, so they're mechanically tuned for the lay of the cable, the gauge, and the number of conductors. And speaking of influence, when you can suspend the dielectric off the conductor, you're eliminating that negative influence that the dielectric has.
Why are Nordost cables flat? What is the importance of a Nordost cable? The design of the cable is so different than any other cable brand.
Right.
Why is that important?
So, like I said, with the flat speaker design, we're able to give you a flat frequency response. We're not inflating the mid-range. We're not rolling off the highs and lows with that flat design. But another benefit to that is when you send the signal through the cables, those conductors resonate. And in order to take advantage of their own natural resonance, you need to separate them.
Okay.
Otherwise, and it eliminates crosstalk and.
I never thought about it like that, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, they're able to take advantage of their own natural resonance that way.
It's really one of the most detailed cables that I've ever heard. The sheer clarity, the transparency, to your earlier point, the evenness of the sound where nothing really sounds out of balance, right? You're not inflating any particular frequency. You're trying to keep everything as intact as possible, which is a very difficult challenge, as you know. I can definitely say that Nordost is always an innovator, a leader, if you will. I have never heard the Gold series yet. I haven't even seen one. So maybe if I can convince these guys here to do the Gold Nordost at some point, you might get to see it here. Maybe you can support the store by showing up, and maybe that could be a reality right down the road.
Wouldn't gold, wouldn't mind any gold, right? Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
I mean, my wife loves it. I love it too. Why not, right?
Gold, right? Yeah. So that's an interesting product in itself. I had never heard it, but if I know Nordost, we know that as you move up the ladder, the improvements are quite evident. I mean, significant and easy to hear.
We'll go outside and we'll see our backyard and what's going on, all the festivities back here. Hey, good to see you, man.
Hey, how are you?
So like we said in our email blast, we're rolling out the red carpet for our customers.
You are?
Yes, absolutely. So out here we're gonna have a DJ. They're still setting up, but the DJ is gonna be going on. We have an LED wall in the back. There's coolers, there's a food truck.
Food truck.
Pretty soon we're gonna have shaved ice and Nico Nico's, which is a Greek, famous Greek restaurant here in Houston. The festivities are gonna get going here pretty soon as the sun dies down a little bit. But we really appreciate you guys coming. We really thank you, Jay, for covering our store. And celebrating our grand opening.
Absolutely.
We put a lot of work into this.
Yes, it shows, by the way, guys.
We wanted you and your audience to be able to experience this with us.
I want to say thank you.
Absolutely.
In front of my audience, to you, Johnny, and all the work.
Yes.
All the blood, sweat, and tears finally paid off You know, and I can say that this store is absolutely amazing. Aesthetically, the level of gear that you just saw, they have spare, no expense, and they have different price points for everyone who wants to really experience what a real system should sound like. The rooms are perfectly tuned and dialed in for you to really maximize the performance of any system that they're displaying.
Yeah,
so,
and that's also a good point, Jay, because you know the gear's great. You know, you can spend a lot of money on a system, but if they're not dialed in, if they're not tuned properly, it's not going to sound.
it's not going to sound good.
And we provide those services as well. I'm sure you
Yes.
know a lot of your some of your audience have hired us to
Yep.
to set
I
up
have.
and tune their systems.
You're going to
and-
see a client of mine. Yeah, that's good to know.
I'm going to see a client of yours.
Yep.
Yes, next Saturday.
Yes.
And it's
Excited.
going to be. He's very excited. I mean, we do this all over the country.
All over the world. Yeah. A
And-
lot of other service that people don't know about.
Yeah. So please let us know. Be sure to look us up on 3maaudio.com or email us at sales@3maaudio.com. It's a pleasure always having you.
Thank
and
you.
enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Luis and Johnny. Please continue to support me, support 3MA. Check them out on their website. The link is below. I will talk to you soon. Peace.
Thank you.